This week, we are going to be learning something new. Last time we learned about complementary colors across from each other on the color wheel, and then split complementary goes to the two sides. However, this week, we're going to deal with analogous colors. Analogous colors are next to each other on the color wheel. You should always choose 4 when you're making a composition. First thing we're going to do, very much like you did in your very first lesson, is just loosely divide up your paper. Don't use a ruler. Now you're going to choose 3 buildings from Dothan, Alabama, and you're going to draw them in on your surface. I'm scaling my building using the width as my basis for the size. Putting in the archway above and noticing that the door comes. Now I'm going to use my next building. Considering the rule of thirds and overlap, I'm going to use this building right here. Again, using the proportions so I can get the width and the length of the building so that they match up. I'm sorry about the glare. It's hard to see, but I think you'll get the general idea of what I'm creating. You don't have to put in all the details, just put in the details that you particularly find interesting. Such as this molding is interesting to me at the top. Now I'm going to put my third building, again overlapping and again thinking about the rule of thirds. I've found that that building divides into 3 equal parts, but I'm not going to see all of it. And the building itself is about 2 of the little side wings distance. Again, you're just getting a rough idea. And once again, the little breezeway and the door. Okay, this is Paul Klee's work, and you can see how the lines don't go particularly straight, and so it creates a visual interest. Sometimes they go angles, sometimes they curve. So what you're going to have to do on your picture is do some of the same things. You can do this randomly, or you can actually look at the copy of Paul Klee's work to get some ideas. Okay, now I'm taking and I'm choosing my colors. I'm going to use red violet, red, orange, and red orange. I think I used Bristol board for this assignment, so I put too much water, and so you'll see that these first squares bleed out, but eventually I learned how to work with the paint and it did quite well. All I'm doing is just randomly filling in these squares, just whatever and wherever I want to put them. And as you can see, sometimes I color over lines. You know, I change my mind as far as what I want to do with the different shapes. There's my red violet. I know Crayola says it's violet, but technically it is red violet. That's my yellow orange, or excuse me, that's my orange. The other is my red orange. Now I'm trying not to put color next to color. That's one of the things you need to look for. And with 4 colors, for the most part, it's not a big deal. Okay, next you're going to use your pen and you're going to go over all the lines in between. Crazy me, I thought I was filming and I wasn't, so I'm just going to show you what you need to do. You'll color in your windows, you'll color in your doors. I've added extra windows here, not exactly, but kind of, so that you get the general impression of the way it looks. And I'm sketching over the lines just to give it more of a, I don't know, more of a drawing kind of aspect to it. There, I'm kind of scribbling underneath to create kind of a faux cast shadow to make those buildings stand out against the background. All right, now you can use some white and you're going to go in and you're going to lighten some of the edges to help your buildings again to stand out from the background. Sometimes I found like I got too much, and so what I would do is I would just actually go back over the white with the color, and it tended to blend it out. All right, now I'm using some black again to create an edge to give the illusion of depth, even moving it into different areas. If I had really thought, I would have made that building longer rather than kind of floating in the middle of the other building, but hey, it's all right. Nothing about this painting is supposed to be real. So see how I've shaded to make those spaces. The other thing you might have noticed is I have some white spaces that I left, and that's okay. Then you can go into the other places in the background and add white where you think they might work best to create a little more visual interest in the space rather than just being a plain kind of boring background. Now I kind of got that a little too dark, both of those areas a little too dark, but later I'm going to put white over top of it and it pushes it down a little bit more. Again, randomly putting dark in different areas to create visual interest in the image. It's definitely just kind of a judgment call. This one I totally messed up. I had to go back and redo it because look, there's that big purple. I tried to balance it out with the bottom, but no, that didn't work either. So, and there you see I'm putting some red back on top, making some areas darker. There I'm going and lightening up those white areas a little bit more. And then putting the color on top of them. See, I told you I really hate that area up there. But I think it's good for you to see that, you know, I changed my mind. All right, that's better, but I really hate that dark edge, so I'm going to try and darken that up a little bit and see if that helps. It does somewhat. Now I'm going to put little white dots all over the painting. You can put them on top of your building, and I'm using the acrylic paint. You might think, oh my God, you've just ruined it all. What are you doing? All right, and then I'm taking my marker once the paint has dried and kind of making a little fluffy around the outside of it. All right, now you can choose to use a red marker, red paint. I'm going to use the red marker and I'm going to make a little swirly like a rose in the center of it. Remember, Paul Klee's work is a rose garden. So next you need green paint. I'm just using some from a tube, and you paint it down to a line. Okay, that's a longer one, and you're just painting little sticks. I wasn't terribly keen on my first version, so I had to get a different paintbrush to give a thinner line. But overall, I was really pleased with what happened when I was done. I liked it. I'll tell you what I did finally, and that's always something you can do. I noticed the top of my painting was a little too barren, so I just cropped it in a little tighter. I'm still trying to make that green show up a little bit better. There you go. As you see, this is the final work, and I did crop it down, and you can do that on your art too. Just take, when you take the picture, you can crop it or whatever, so that you don't have any wasted space. Remember the rule of thirds, divide it into a tic-tac-toe board, and you'll have it.